Welcome to Better Together.
A place where we dive deep into everyday subjects.
We are your hosts, Julian
and Carolina, two psychologists that travel the world and are very excited about the whole human experience.
So without further ado, let's dive into the episode.
Hello everybody. Welcome to another episode of Better Together. Today's topic is juicy. So hopefully you like it.
It's about money and what psychology is behind there, what kind of beliefs we have and how money is influencing our mind, essentially.
Yes.
And I think for that, it's really awesome to quickly describe why it's important that we talk about this, because as we said, we dive into everyday subjects. And this is one that influences us in so many areas, in so many situations. And to just give you a short example of myself, of how this can look like, how's the belief or the idea of money influencing us, even though it's just sort of a means to exchange value. It still has a huge impact on us. And to just give you a juicy little story for that is, we were thinking about traveling and booking a flight to the jungle in Peru. And with that, we also couldn't work during that time. And so for me, that looked like a lot of money that we spent during that time, and a lot of time that I couldn't work to earn the money back.
To give some context, we wanted to go to the jungle. We had been, the whole time that we were in Peru, it was like, we need to go to the jungle. And this was part of the itinerary of the trip. So it was already known that we were going to do that. And it was true. Like when you are in the jungle, you cannot really have Zoom calls. But yeah, we already had that factored in. So it was like a month where we wouldn't be getting too much income.
Exactly, perfect. And then when we were about to book the flight, fears creeped in. And I remember still very, very vividly, we were sitting, I think, on bed and just deciding which flight to book, exactly what date. And right before I wanted to click buying the flight, a lot of fears creeped in, and I hold back, I hesitated clicking it. And because then wait, we're spending so much, I can't earn it back. This is way too much. Also, the hotel is way too expensive, more than usual. And so a lot of, I really got, how do you say that? Like restless and triggered. And I was in a state of fear, out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Almost existential threat of like, I cannot pay the bills.
Mm-hmm. Which was completely not
Which was
true.
Completely absurd.
Yeah.
I still have savings. Like, that's what they are for, right?
Yes.
But just to exemplify how this experience triggered me to existential threat, even though it was safe.
Yeah. And that, I feel, comes from the way that our parents treated money and the way that we learned to deal with money. Because it's a very tricky subject. There's families that have gone through poverty and then they think that money is scarce. There are families that are very abundant and then think that money can be easily acquired. There's, in the case of my family, it's more like working class. So you have to work hard for your money. And those are beliefs that pass on to the children, so us, and then we take them and we take the fears of our parents around money, we take the beliefs around money. And they're not like sitting in your mind as this belief of, I believe that making money is hard. But beliefs are something that's underlying. I forgot the analogy I usually use, so I'll come up with a new one. Let's imagine that you're painting with a pencil, and the pencil has pink in it, like some pink paint. And then you put it in the water, and then it gets pink. And the pink water sort of represents the indirect influence of the belief. The brush here is the one that like holds the pink. That's the belief. And then the ripple effect that it had, which is tainting the water pink, that's how it manifests. And it manifests in thoughts or by being triggered and being like, where does this come from? I don't understand. And we cannot really pinpoint where it comes from, but it is a belief that's underlying and it's tainting everything pink, even if we don't realize it.
Yeah, and I think it manifests in like very easy sentences that come back repeatedly. For example, you need to work hard in order to earn money. That is, for example, a real nice manifestation of a belief, like just in a sentence as words.
Money doesn't grow on trees.
Those beautiful proverbs, yeah. And there are a ton of them out there just to describe what beliefs are, right?
Yeah.
And now it, I think, comes back to, okay, how do we want to deal with this now? Okay, we know, okay, it triggers me in certain situations, or I guess everybody knows some situation when talking about money is difficult. And immediately it's like this overshadowing of the whole situation. When we talk about money at my parents' house, it's always like, we don't talk about money.
We don't talk about money, no.
Exactly. And that's totally how that goes for us. Mm-hmm. So nobody knows really what's going on. Nobody knows the numbers, and nobody knows, how to deal with that, because we it feels like we want to run away from that feeling of maybe not having enough, maybe not, feeling good about what you have. There comes the status in there. If you don't have a lot of money, you're low in status. You're not a good person.
Yeah. And
I think there a lot of different things come in. Or also when you have a lot of money, it's easy to have the belief for the working class, if you have a lot of money, you're a bad person. Or you become bad.
Yeah. You had to you have to step on somebody's toes in order to get there, or something like that. Yeah, and it also feels like there's a lot of trauma around money. So there's a trauma of not having it, but also very often families fight for inheritances, let's say. So in your family lineage, there might be that brothers fought and stopped talking to each other because they couldn't split up the house that their parents left them. And I feel that those things wound us, and those things stay dormant under the surface and create a lot of resistance towards money or beliefs around money that we don't even know that are there. I have another story about that. A few weeks ago, I was doing a clown course. As you heard it was a clown course. I was learning how to be a clown. And after the class, we went out for pizza, and I was talking to a new friend. And she was telling me like, oh yeah, I'm looking for a new job because I need to think of retirement. And I was like, how old are you? 25. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. Are you sure that the institutions that will fund your retirement are going to be there by the time that you retire? Given that the money situation in the world is very uncertain, we cannot really trust big financial institutions. And she never thought about that, so she was a bit caught off guard. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, well, it's also better to be prepared and diversify maybe your investments. You have so much time, so maybe saving 10% of your income every month and then just investing in precious metals or eventually buying a house, things like that. And then she was saying something that triggered me. And it was that, oh yeah, that's all good and nice, but I'm a teacher. I feel like what you're saying is toxic positivity. And I was like, what? That doesn't feel like it's toxic positivity. It's just financial education. That to me is like a principle that we should all learn how to save and how to invest our money properly in order to not let it get lost in inflation. So yeah, I had a bit of a rant there. Like I wasn't aggressive or anything. And my mom told me it was not even a rant. You were just having a normal conversation. But to my standards, that I'm always super compassionate and like try to explain everything calmly, like I was agitated then. And then I was explaining why this was so important, because this belief that you can only save 10% of your salary if you have a high salary is what was keeping this girl stuck in a certain mindset around money, that she couldn't save, that she couldn't grow, that she couldn't invest. So then I became really passionate about it. But the whole point was that she believed that anything that could tell you that money can be saved and can be dealt with responsibly was toxic positivity. So then I went home and I was like, okay, whatever. And, I'll apologize tomorrow if she was offended. And the next day I approached her and I was like, did I bother you with the talk yesterday? And she was like, no, not really. In the moment, I didn't take it in. And then afterwards, I went home and I started thinking. So it did something with me. And today I had a therapy session and I talked with my psychologist about it. And, well, long story short, I'm starting to save 8% of my salary. I was like, what?
Wow.
Okay, great. So that was a happy ending because she had really strong beliefs around money that she couldn't save because she had a small salary. Yeah. But it's not about the amount of money that you're making. Is how responsibly are you handling whatever you're making? And are you living below your means? Even if your means are very, very humble.
Yeah. Okay. So bottom line is that we have a lot of things that trigger us around money. Either it's the person who thinks saving is toxic positivity, or just for me, like things that come up and where I spend more than in 1 month than I earn, immediately threat comes up. Oh, I know we can't do this because I'm not earning that much the upcoming month. And then immediately this comes in. So there's a lot of emotion involved. And as weird as it might sound from my side, but when it comes, I guess, to the topic of money, the logic and the numbers might be actually really, really helpful to look at rather than the emotions. Mm-hmm. To get a clear understanding of what's really going on. How much am I actually having saved? How much is coming in? How much is going out? So like the basic of financial education, I think. Yeah. Because otherwise, in that scenario, in that specific topic, the emotions can really derail us from having a solid understanding of money.
Yeah. Let's go into some practicals then. So you just said having an understanding of where your finances stand.
Yeah.
So that's the basic thing that you can do in order to get a hold of your finances. Where am I spending my money? Am I going out 3 times a month? Am I having too many memberships that I don't use? Am I spending more than what I get in? Or am I consistently saving 10%? Like just really taking a hard look at your finances, seeing where your money goes, and being very meticulous about it, like at least for a couple of months to see what are your habits around money. Which, spoiler alert, they might be similar to your parents. Like if your parents used to overspend, then you probably will fall for that. And if your parents were very, what's
clingy.
The word? Clingy with their money?
Yeah.
Is that a thing? Well, tight butt with their money, then you will not want to spend a dime, even though you would love to take that dance class or something, because it's not worth it. So just having a look at where your finances stand, that's a great place to start. Second, I would say what I was talking about, save a percentage of your salary or your freelance jobs every time that you get money in. Anytime that you get money in, 10% or 5%, whatever you can at that moment, should go into a separate account to not be touched until you have a really good place to put it. So that's another one.
And probably for the whole podcast now, retrospectively, this is no financial advice. We are not trained in this, but we look at the psychology behind it, right? So basically, what the tips that you just gave are
It's actual financial advice. It's not like
yeah, but we're not.
It's our disclaimer.
Yeah, we're not allowed to do that, to give that advice because we don't really are trained in
it's
that.
the most basic thing.
Fair.
We're just repeating things from books. But yes, we're not allowed for legal reasons.
Exactly, so everybody knows. But the other point, after you, what you just said, after knowing really what you spent and getting an idea of it, looking then into those patterns, because that's where the psychology lies. When you really check your income and the outgoing expenses, then see, okay, what are the regularities or irregularities that are happening to really get a grasp, okay, where might be some of my beliefs happening? And that's where we're good at, to spot those and see, okay, where's the resistance? Where does it feel weird to spend money? Where does it feel weird to save money? Or for example, some people have priorities. For food, I always spend all the money because I think I should be healthy, and only the most expensive foods are the healthy ones, for example.
Yeah.
And so those things just give you insights on how you deal with money in general. And I think it's a great start to look at when you check in on your finances.
Yeah. And if you want to be a super mega student of money, then the next step is to look at your beliefs around making money and acquiring more wealth. Because, and this is something I'm working with right now as we speak, there's a point in life where you could reach for more. And very often we fear having too much money, or we fear money. Like, it's like, what will we do with it? And it's subconscious. It's not like consciously you're thinking, oh, please don't come my way. But underlying, there's a little bit of a fear. Because, for example, in my household, one thing that was very common is that rich people are evil. And also culturally, my country, like middle class looks up to the upper class, and they're like, well, they're kind of assholes, which is not true. It's not true. And those things stick somewhere in your subconscious that, oh, if you have money, you're probably not nice. And no, let's break that pattern of thinking. And also, if you have money, you're evil. Like, that's another one. It's like, oh yeah, there's Bill Gates that has so much money, and what does he do with that? He could end poverty and the hunger around the world. Yes. So there's some people that have money that don't have the world's priorities in mind, like making every human have an education, shelter, food. That's why more good people need to have money. That's why you need to get money, because money is just a tool. It's a tool, and it's better if it's administered by a person that has a good heart and has cleared up their beliefs around money, and it's not blocked about it. But that's, I think, a main takeaway that I want to leave everybody with. If there's money in the world, we want it to be in good hands. Let's good people have a lot of money. Let's let that crowd be the one that holds most money in the world, because we know it's going to be used wisely, or better than what it is right now, going to all the oil companies and the World Economic Forum peoples. So yeah, good people, make some money.
Make some money, good people.
I'll do my share.
Yes. No, I think that's super, super important. That's why we brought it up for today's podcast. And next to the beliefs that might be behind it, and the just basic understanding of money and your cash flow, basically what's coming in, what's coming out, what's going out. This part is super, super good to dive deep into, because it can be part of the foundation of your future life. So just if you understand the basics of money and how it influences you psychologically, but also just materialistically, I think it's really, really good to know about. So.
And there's so much beyond money, what we discussed today.
Of course.
Let us know if you want us to dive deeper or to explore a specific area of money.
Yes.
Because we love the topic. We read a bit on it. If you want to get started on books, The Richest Man in Babylon, great book about personal finances.
Yeah, for the real basic understanding of what it is and how to grow wealth, that's great.
Okay.
Awesome.
Then, thank you for joining us, everybody, in another episode of Better Together. And hope to see you again next week.
See you next week, guys. Love you. Bye-bye.
Aw, love you too.